I have written a story, but I can't think of the darned title. Hello, Chummonleys. How the dickens are you? Spiffing. Just what I wanted to hear. Now, down to business. If you've written a story and you're feeling pretty good about it, but you can't think of the flipping title, I have 8 tips that are going to help you. Grab yourself a piece of paper just in case you have a brainwave whilst we're talking about this. First of all, what is the problem or the challenge that your book offers up to your reader? Is it a story about an adventure up a mountain, or jumping in puddles, or why dogs like bones? Really get down to the nub of the issue and see if you can explain that in just a few words. For example, your story about why dogs like bones. Perhaps your title could be "This dog eats ... thus not giving away the whole ending of the story. Number 2, brainstorming. Now, this can seem a little daunting. You know, just sit there and think and think and think, and then you'll come up with the perfect title. No, you won't. I have a little trick up my sleeve. Set yourself a timer. It could be 10, 15, 30 minutes. It doesn't really matter, so long as there is an end to the process and it's finite. It's not going to go on forever. In that time, write down as many words that you can think of that are relevant to your story. You can write down sentences or phrases too. You can even write down things that are not relevant to your story. That is okay too. It doesn't matter. Don't judge the things that you've written down. That's not part of this little bit of the exercise. When the timer goes off, go and make yourself a cup of coffee, but make sure it's decaf. You don't want to hyperventilate before the next bit of the process. When you've had a little bit of time to relax, go back to your list of brainstorming words and cross out the things that are a definite no. Anything that just doesn't feel right, go all Marie Kondo on it. And anything that doesn't spark joy, cross it out. Then, when you have a short list, leave it for a few days. Walk away from it. And then come back and repeat that process until you have maybe 5 or so words or phrases that could make up your title. Then do a little poll for feedback. That could be literally just going and speaking to friends and family to see what they like, or putting a poll up on Facebook or Instagram. Now, the clever thing about this is if everybody votes for title number 2 and you secretly liked title number 5, then you'll feel really cross that everyone else has voted for number 2, which is clearly not the right title. You'll just get a feeling about it and you'll go and use title number 5. Number 3, rousing curiosity. Think about the books that you are attracted to. Chances are they've got titles that are interesting, that rouse your curiosity to go and have a look, pick the book up and look and see what's inside. You want your reader to do the same thing. You want your reader to go and think, what's that book about? And go and have a look inside it and then buy it. One way of doing that is to give it a title that doesn't give the whole game away. For example, you've written a story about a girl called Jane who's lost her teddy. Do you call it Jane Loses Her Teddy, or do you give it a bit of an eccentric edge to it? Maybe you'll call it Bananas. Maybe Teddy is found in a box of bananas. Or maybe Jane eats bananas all day so that she's got the energy to go and find her teddy. Number 4. You could use the name of a character in your book or the setting that it takes place in. For example, I've written a story about a baby owl who doesn't like owl food, and the title of that book is Fidget because that is the baby owl's name. People seem to like that title because if you're a parent or a grandparent, you'll know all about fidgety children. And if you're a child, then it's kind of like a funny, quirky name for an owl. And they want to find out more about him and why he is fidgety. Or if your book is set in a particular place, like maybe under the stairs, that might be a good title for a book. Or if it's set on a beach, you might want to call your book something to do with seashells or sand or creatures of the sea. Number 5, using a book title generator. Now, I have to say, this is a tool. It's not something that you're necessarily going to find your title on, but if you use a book title generator, you might get an idea that is sparked from something that you see in front of you. Book title generators come in all sorts of genres, so make sure you're picking the right genre for your book. For example, if you're writing a picture book, don't go and find the ones on romance or science fiction. That's not going to help you. It's something that can get you out of that I can't think of the flipping title brain mode. Number 6. Whatever you do come up with, making it original is going to serve you well. For a start, there won't be loads of other books called the same thing, so when your customer is looking online for your title, they are not going to be bombarded with lots of other books called exactly the same thing and then miss yours. But it can also act as a curiosity rouser, like we discussed before. Number 7. If this is really sending you round the bend, then why not just open your story up and randomly point at words. Now, I know this sounds completely mad, but sometimes it can really help. It's a bit like using the book title generator. Just randomly poke at a few words and write them down. Do this 10 or 20 times and then rearrange some of those words to see if you can come up with something that's either good or that sparks your ideas. Sometimes we get locked into that thing of feeling we just can't think of a title, and it becomes a blocking measure. Doing exercises like this can just jiggle your brain out of that thought so that the title might pop into your head. Number 8. Use a working title. Now that means it can be something that you're not necessarily going to use as the real title, but it's something that you can use for the time being to call your project. You can save it on your computer as that working title. You can refer to it as that working title. By giving it a working title, you're not just referring it to that story I'm writing. You're giving it an identity. And who knows? Maybe once you've used it a few times, you might actually find you really like it and it sticks. However, if it doesn't, that is fine. Just change it when you find the real title. 8 ways of getting that worm of procrastination out of your mind. The important thing is to do your best and then get it out there, especially if this is your first book. You are never going to make your first book your best book. This is called progression. If your first was better than your 5th, I would be worried. Right, next week I am having the week off, unknown for over a decade. I am literally not going to do any work. I am going to stare out the window at next door's cat. Next door doesn't have a cat. Oh God, what am I going to do? If you'd like further artist tutorials, I have a variety of short courses that will help you. There are real-time sessions looking at painting, drawing and marker pens, among others. And if you're keen on producing your own book, there is a more in-depth course on what you need to know about self-publishing a book with illustrations. That covers making key decisions, how to make layouts and dummy books, rhythm and pacing, as well as several tutorials on illustrating a book and a look at the tech. You can either hop over to my website or join me on Patreon for more information. Go on, give it a go! After that, we are creating together Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Bring with you the chair that is not too hard and not too soft, but just right. I'm off to go and find a cat to stare at. I will see you in 2 weeks. Nano nano.